Okay, so I grew up in the town of Henrietta, near Rochester, New York, and in my lifetime, the town has experienced a series of sprawl that has changed the area forever. I live on the very edge of Henrietta, neighboring a town called Rush, which is an extremely rural town. Years ago, Henrietta was rural like this, but in the last 20 years, the town has become more and more suburban. My house, along with several others on my street, were built in the 1800s. Back then, houses were more spaced out from one another, and variables such as cars weren't a consideration. This is why I have one neighbor, a home built in the 1900s, and on the other side there is a large parking lot that replaced a rundown historical home. Even a small town like Henrietta was affected by the automobile, especially when people started moving there in masses. Now, my street is lined with homes, new and old. Right across the street from our house used to be a large field that also contained a pond. We would take our dog on walks over there, and we still do today, except now there are 25 townhouses that occupy the land. Even my best friend moved there from a neighboring town just to attend the school district. Henrietta has a lot going for it. There is a large shopping district in the center and tons of land ready for development. In my lifetime, there have been over 500 homes built. Even today, when I go home to visit my parents, there are always new constructions going on, and I have to ask my parents, what's going on? 15 years ago, my town implemented a new land use plan, attempting to limit sprawl and help protect open space. So much former farmland is now concentrating housing, and that isn't necessarily a good thing. Past my backyard, there is a large field owned by a tech park business. Industries such as these are very popular in my town, and many were established during my childhood. These companies are a large supplier of jobs and has caused many people to move to my town. The of people has had negative effects like traffic issues, infrastructure deficiencies, and a rise in taxes. However, the increased tax base has benefited the town and allowed for better recreational facilities and park maintenance. That field behind my house I mentioned before was almost developed into a casino park, and across the street they currently want to put up a dollar store. Businesses like this are trying to take over what little we have left of suburban living. Down the street from me used to be fields, but 10 years ago a huge car dealership was built, along with a nail salon, a daycare, a pizzeria, and several other establishments. They seem to be getting closer and closer to my house as more and more traffic builds up on my street. It's been really interesting to, grow up and view this type of sprawl. Obviously, when I was younger, I didn't really know what sprawl was, and I didn't really think much of it. Honestly, I was kind of more excited that, there's like a place I could walk to get pizza or McDonald's, and it all seemed really convenient. And I think that's probably why a lot of people want to move there, and why a lot of companies are putting businesses, close to that area for convenience and for, profiting, obviously. But I don't necessarily think it's good. I think that maybe they should be, revitalizing old buildings, like old warehouses. There's plenty of things like that in like the city and bordering the city, but I wouldn't mind driving, an extra 5 minutes just to get somewhere, rather than I wouldn't like want a large building in my backyard. That's like the main thing. Because when they start running out of land to develop, they're going to take that. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing that I'm thinking about in terms of like my home. What will it look like around it in 10 years, in 20 years? Because I don't think that they're going to stop developing. So, thank you.